Thank you, Fiona and F&P team, as always. Grateful to be here today, and thank you everyone for joining. So, as always, today, since we'll be talking about the Salesforce technology and the CRM, we want to make sure to go through a bit of a forward-looking statement to make your purchasing decisions based on currently available products. What we'll be talking about today is available today, and there will be resources towards the end as well if you're interested to find out more. Just want to say thank you again to everyone for your presence, and also for F&P for hosting this session, and for everyone for taking their time off of the day to attend this particular webinar. By way of introduction, my name is Brenda Wei, and I'm a solution engineer at salesforce.org. Yang and I are specifically aligned to a nonprofit team that sits within Australia and New Zealand team. So we work with organizations across both. And I have been with Salesforce around almost 4 years now, and I have been with the nonprofit team since. So it is particularly exciting for me to be talking about ways in which you can use technology to enhance the donor experiences and focusing a lot more on personalizing these communications with the donors as well. So handing it over to Yang for a quick introduction.
Great, thank you, Brenda, and also thank you everyone for your time today. So like Brenda mentioned, I'm also a solution engineer working with organizations in the ANZ space. So I've been working with nonprofits around fundraising for about 9 to almost 10 years now. So yeah, really happy to be here today and to share our learnings.
Thank you, Yang. So throughout this Tech Thursday series, and for anyone who attended the previous sessions with Salesforce as well, we have been talking about different ways in which you can either manage your data or even looking at different marketing and communications consideration as well. So however, from all of the discussions, one of the things that we have highlighted on is barriers to building relationship and funding, particularly coming from having siloed database, whether it be many different spreadsheets, many different systems that doesn't really connect. And what we found from speaking to different nonprofit organizations, both within Australia, New Zealand, and all across the world, there are different channels and areas in which there are gaps and experiences that are impacting the relationship with the donor. For example, from a donor and supporter perspective, having a siloed donor database made a poor experience because we don't really know who they are. From the funder perspective, it is important for them to have that visibility into the impact that they are making, being able to focus a bit more on understanding our members and all the supporters that we connect with and any other experiences that we want to drive. And specifically for that, we will want to talk about having a unified CRM today and what it really means before going into a demonstration to showcase an example of what it could look like. What having a unified CRM data means being able to capture and manage trusted data, because you have an up-to-date database that sits within your system. You'll be able to then start taking a look at how you can extend this data to either personalization, communications, or even enhancing your relationship with them. Looking into analytics and insight as well. Having a clean data and up-to-date data means being able to report and make decisions on the latest insight that you have and be able to take action to cultivate these different relationships. And finally, looking into ways in which you can connect to other systems outside of the CRM, such as an accounting system, maybe events management, and all of that to start growing the way in which you do things within your organization and further enhancing that impact that you make. So without further ado, what we want to get into, Yang and I will be walking you through a little bit of an example of how you can use a unified solution to nurture a one-off donor to become a regular giver. We're going to start off this demonstration by looking at how a donation coming in, we can keep track of the donation that is coming in. We'll then take a look at that single view of a donor to get a further insight into who this particular individual is, what their interests are, and what are the ways in which we can connect them further. Yang will then be walking you through the experiences perspective of what it looks like to craft this personalized journey and communications, and from the donor experience of being able to keep track of their own past donations, update their profile and contact details, and be able to see their impact themselves as well. As always, if there are any questions, feel free to post in the chat and we will have time to answer towards the end of this webinar. So right now, I'm currently in a Salesforce environment. We have recently received a donation, and as a fundraising manager, I am currently looking at the list of all the donations that has come in this week from different individuals, along with a visibility of how much they have made and what time it came in, as well as who they are. Specifically for me today, I am particularly interested in this one donation. What Salesforce as a platform allows you to do is to open up this integration with different payments processing solution that come into place. So you can start gathering all the fundings that are coming in, all of them in one place. Looking individually, this gives me a visibility of an individual donation that Rachel Morris has made, capturing details about who she is, if she is part of a particular household. If we are looking at a specific appeal that this donation has coming from, we're able to capture that as well. That allows us to keep track and report on these ROIs from different campaigns and appeals that an organization run. Apart from the individual information about the donation, there is related payments and ledger entries that have been created alongside so that these can be translated back into the accounting system to be able to start keeping track of this finance information as well from our end. From here, since Rachel has recently made a donation, I want to start diving into her as an individual to learn more about who she is. And looking into her contact details, this is where I start to see an overview of who Rachel is, starting with a summary that she is currently our donor, has made a total of 300 donations so far. From her engagement grading and scoring, I can see that she has engaged quite a lot with our marketing material, given her score is fairly high, and that she is one of the suitable supporters and donors as well for our organization. I have captured different information about Rachel throughout different communications, including different phone number and contact details that we have about her. And this roll-up details calculated the total past information, the highest and average gift amount that she has given, so that right now, looking to Rachel profile, I can visibly see all the past interactions that we have already had with her as from a donor perspective. What's particularly interesting for me is looking into some of the predicted metrics that are based on some of the past donations that we have collected from any other supporters as well. From Rachel's perspective, we can see that she is likely to become a regular donor given our different data and analytics that's running in the background. And what I would like to do is to further engage her to then to add her to a donor nurture journey from here. But before I get into that, I also want to better understand different relationships that she has built and who is within a particular household, any of her donation timeline, and any of the network that she has built, an organization that she has been a part of specifically. All of these related information gives me that complete 360-degree view of not only Rachel contact details, but any other information that we want to better understand, whether it be her as a donor, a volunteer, or a supporter itself. Now, from this one, knowing Rachel a bit more better and through the predictive metrics that are available out there, what I want to do is now to start adding her to a nurture journey to become a regular donor from a one-off donor. So with that, once I added her to this particular engagement, she will then start receiving personalized communications, from which Yang will be then showing you what happens behind the scene as she is taking onto this journey. So over to you, Yang.
Great, thank you, Brenda. And now I believe I'm sharing my screen. So with Rachel being placed into the nurture journey, we are going to see Engagement Studio, which will enable us to create dynamic journeys based on the donor's data. So we actually would start by defining the settings of that journey to understand, which list we want to include, and also which list we may want to suppress as well. And the suppression list is actually clever enough to understand whether a recipient has been placed on another journey, so they're not bombarded with emails, and when is the best time to actually send these emails to actually maximize the impact. So if we scroll down here, we can actually see your organization can actually choose, is it best to send during work days, or maybe is it best to send in the after hours and so forth. So that's something that the organization, such as yourselves, can basically choose. And once that email has been sent, we can actually see how the system can actually wait X amounts of days, at the moment currently 3, for a response. So based on conditional outcomes from the donor, a score can also be applied to basically show how engaged they are with our emails. As well, furthermore, is further down the track of this particular journey is if their last gift was over a certain amount, such as over $1,000, they may get a personalized touch point from a team member, such as a phone call, to really personalize that experience, to really let them know that we value them as a donor, as an example. And before that follow-up email is sent, and within another 3 days, we can also monitor its response, to then maybe to adjust the score even further before we maybe send off the final email on this particular nurture journey to convert them from a one-off to a recurring donor. Now, with this journey that we see, we can also test this out. So we can actually say to actually begin the test, maybe for instance, today. And we can actually choose this, actually, configure this condition. We'll say, for instance, they read it within 3 days. So now Salesforce will automatically apply 50 points to their contact record. And we'll say, maybe, for instance, their last gift amount wasn't over $1,000. So we can actually see how this journey may diverge based on the outcomes of the data, as well as how they have interacted with the emails that we would have sent. So another 3 days has gone past and they actually have opened it. And we can actually see through the test how this particular email journey has taken 12 days. So it's something that allows your team to basically understand how they may behave, factor that into this particular journey. And this really is your communication engine to thank your donors, and also let them know the impact and to encourage them to become a regular donor. And there are other journeys that you can add leverage, such as maybe volunteers to become first-time donors, or maybe birthday journeys, or credit card expiring journeys as well, or maybe they donated a certain amount over a lifetime. Maybe they donated over $5,000 in the last 2 years. What is that particular journey going to look like? And these are all send and forget processes. So long as the data matches, you can rest assured that these emails will be sent, considering the response to those emails as well. Now, let's just say one of these journeys was to maybe promote the self-service portal with your donors. And what Rachel has done is now logged into that supported portal, which is a window into the Salesforce CRM, with dashboards specific to show data for her contact record, such as what we can see here, hours that she's volunteered for. Now, the nonprofit success pack comes with a series of out of the box industry best practice reports to be reviewed internally, so that for maybe gifts month over month for your internal team, you can also review, or maybe donors who donated last year but unfortunately not this year. There's a plethora of out-of-the-box reports specific to the nonprofit industry that your team can review. Of course, you can also create your own reports yourself through clicks and not code. Now, further to this supporter portal, Rachel also has the ability to actually see recognition badges. And these recognition badges help gamify that portal experience. And that can either be assigned through data that's on their record, maybe 5 years consecutive giving as an example, or maybe through recognition from other users or other supporters within the portal. Knowledge-based articles will also allow the ability for your supporters to look up how to download a receipt, or maybe a volunteer shift, or alternatively the ability to also engage with a chatbot or through a actual live agent through the chat function. And in this particular use case, Rachel goes to her donation history to see all the previous donations that she's made based on her record, which will display the date, the amount, as well as the pay method. And if she wants to, it's easy enough to click on the link to actually just download the receipt. Really valuable for those end of financial year tax times to for a tax return. Now, lastly, Rachel may want to go to a profile to actually update her details. It's easy enough to do that, and basically update that information based on what's already currently in the database. So for instance, we may say she wants to update maybe have a work email. So we could say it's actually rmorris@sample.com. And when she chooses to update that information, that will automatically feed in to the Salesforce database. So that rather than you having to follow up on maybe on a yearly basis, or maybe to call them up to have the most up-to-date information, once Rachel or other supporters in your organization have updated their details, that will automatically flow through into the CRM, so that you can rest assured knowing that all your supporters will have the most up-to-date information across the database. So going back to our slides there, this slide basically introduces the nonprofit cloud and all our solution lines. And what we have seen today are the fundraising, the marketing and engagement, and the nonprofit operations. But Salesforce is also able to offer other solutions, such as maybe outbound grant making, as well as inbound as well, and also program delivery too. And if you'd like to know more about the nonprofit cloud, please refer to the articles that you see here, or alternatively, Salesforce's free online learning platform Trailhead, with modules that are linked to applicable for anyone that are using Salesforce or not today. And there are also examples of Salesforce solutions, and also offers to how we can approach on how you can get the best out of the CRM. Of course, a copy of this presentation will be shared at the conclusion of this webinar. So if there's questions on these particular Trailhead modules or the articles, you can also just grab it from the slides presented at the end of this presentation. With that, I want to thank everyone on this webinar today, and open up to questions.
Brenda and Yang, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions here in the Q&A box. So I'll start with the question from Nikki, who asks, just wondering how we get the predictive metrics in Salesforce. Do you know? I'm not quite sure what Nikki means, but hopefully you do.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. I was just looking for the unmute button. Hi, Nikki. Thank you for the question. Thanks, Fiona, as well, for pointing that out. So the predictive metrics are part of the one of our solutions called Einstein. And it's part of the Einstein for nonprofit specifically. That's maybe tailored towards fundraising. So that's how that's part of the product stack. The way that you get it is through looking at your existing database and being able to start looking at what type of predictions you want to produce. For example, if it's more around this individual is likely to become a regular donor, then what some of the data that you might want to look into is their past donation, how frequently they have donated previously, when was their last donation date. So this is just one example of the ways in which you can get it. And it is part of the solution called Einstein for Nonprofits.
Thank you, Brenda. And a question from Craig, who asks, is there some sort of guided walkthrough or wizard to help create specific journeys?
I am happy to take that as well, but Yang, feel free to jump in if needed. So in this, the one that Yang has shown in particular, there are, not the one that Yang has shown in particular, but for all the Salesforce products, there are help articles that are available publicly. But for the one that you have seen today on the demonstration, I will have to get back to you in terms of the wizard. But these are all fairly straightforward in terms of building it, as you don't necessarily need any coding. It's all clicks, and all you have to do is to pick and choose from there. We also have a local user group for ANZ customer base. So these are where you might be able to find out a little bit more around how different organizations have been building specific journeys that are more relevant to your organization.
Yeah, and I'll just add, though, that journey is all just done through clicks and not code. So it's through like a WYSIWYG editor. So you wouldn't necessarily have to know any coding. I like the joke I constantly say is I haven't used HTML in over 15 years, but I'm able to basically add information or add steps to that journey that we saw. So for instance, if we wanted to have a task for a call, that's basically clicking on an icon to basically add a new step into the journey. And all the information that we type in regards to the task, who is assigned to, that's all basically within the Salesforce platform. So it's just reading off the data that's in the CRM itself. So if we're saying if the gift amount is over a certain amount, for instance, that's all just based off the data. So you're just basically thinking about what are the conditions. Everything else is all just through what you see is what you get, so to speak.
Thank you. And Craig asks what app the engagement tool is. Was it Engagement Studio or?
Yes, and it is part of the solution called Pardot. I think another name is called Marketing Cloud Account Engagement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Then we do have another question here. Sorry, Brenda, were you going to add there?
Yeah, I was going to add that because I saw Julian's comment as well. That is agree. That is like true. So that's where I would direct to the ANZ nonprofit community, because this is where you can start exchanging different ideas in terms of how they have been using. From the technology perspective, we offer the tools for you to use, and then we can provide you with examples based on during our, I guess, conversation. So feel free to reach out to a Salesforce account executive, or if you go check out the ANZ community, that's where you'll be able to find more information as well.
Thanks, Brenda. So obviously you have both spoken about a number of different apps today: Engagement Studio, Pardot, Einstein. How does a Salesforce user kind of work out what apps are right for them as they go along? Because there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, the benefits and also like the thing about having the solutions and the platform. I think this is where you'll get to talk to people like me and Yang, or everyone else within the solutions team, is that once you start looking at Salesforce, you'll be connected with an account executive who will then introduce you what Salesforce is, what is a platform. And then if further discovery and deep dive is required, then solutions engineers like us will come in and then start diving into the details of the specific use case. So it's case by case basic. Sometimes you can just get started with a simple nonprofit, like the baseline, nonprofit cloud baseline. Sometimes you might want to add some marketing solution, maybe the experience solution. So it depends.
Okay, and I hadn't seen it before. What was the front-facing kind of self-service portal that you demoed? Is that an app? And if so, what's that called?
I'm happy to take that too. Yang, feel free to jump in as well. So this is called an experience cloud. So this is our Salesforce solution as well that opens up access for external user in a secure and authenticated environment. There is an authenticated mode as well, and that's called Experience Cloud.
Okay, Experience Cloud, that was cool. Yeah, okay, wonderful. Is there any more questions from the audience that you'd like to ask? We're coming up to 1 o'clock. As we wait to see if there's any more questions coming through, I will just say this was the last of 3 Salesforce Tech Thursdays. If you will get an email, as I said, with the recording and with the slides. And actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to access all 3 of those Salesforce webinars, as well as the Salesforce Tech Thursdays that took place in 2021. And we've got lots of other fundraising videos on the YouTube channel as well. So we really encourage everyone to check those out. It doesn't look like there's any more questions for now, but if you, as Yang explained, there will be a couple of resources that come through in both the slides and the emails, so feel free to check those out, and you can always get a demo. But thank you, Yang and Brenda, very much for today, and thank you, Salesforce, for doing the Tech Thursdays with us, and thank you for everyone who came along today. We look forward to sharing the information with you post-webinar. Thanks, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.